तेरे भाई ने मचाया है वो आगे भी मचाएगा, सपना है ये उसका ऐसा एक दिन आएगा जब ये पूरा देश उसकी पीठ थपथपाएगा। लाइफ नहीं थी आसान पर हिम्मत नहीं हारी मैंने, दर्द सारे और सारी मुश्किल हेड ऑन झेली है सारी मैंने। लहरों से डर करना औकात पार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती। इन लाइंस ने दिया है हमेशा मेरा साथ, मन करता है चूम सकूं मैं बच्चन जी के हाथ। अरे बल्ला भी घुमाया है और ठुमका भी लगाया है, गाने गा के भाई ने माहौल भी जमाया है। मन में थी एक आस, करना है कुछ खास, मेहनत ही लाती रास। तारीफ मैंने पाली थी बजाली तेरे भाई ने जब एक हाथ से ताली थी। चला गया मैं आईआईटी, ज्वाइन कर लिया सिटी, हो गया प्रमोट लेकिन फिर हो गया विस्फोट। पापा छोड़ के चले गए, सीख याद उनकी सारी थी, माँ के साथ मिलके मचाने की बारी थी। ज्वाइन किया एक्सेंचर डिजिटल, किया वहां भी खूब स्ट्रगल, एनालिस्ट से बना कंसल्टेंट, मिला फर्स्ट स्टॉक, मैनेजमेंट जान गया हूँ लेकिन अभी बहुत सीखना बाकी है। आईआईएमसी मेरा मंदिर यही तो मेरा काशी है, एमबीए के कोर्स में मुझे खून का करना पानी है, कुछ बड़ा मचाने की तेरे भाई ने जो भी ठानी है।
Hi
Yes, sir.
Abhishek, congratulations getting into IIM Ahmedabad, scoring well in CAT. How do you feel about it?
Good morning, sir. Thank you so much. Of course, it's a great feeling. I'd been waiting so long, about 6 years or so, to get it, to like realize my dream. And now that it has finally happened, it's an amazing, amazing feeling. There were times of despair in between, and there were tears of sorrow. But when the results came out, there were tears of joy, and I will not be able to describe that feeling. It was like one such amazing feeling that I think only the person who has who goes through it can feel it. I would be unable to put it in words. So it's like it's unreal, frankly, because a lot of people told me, given my profile, that I am Ahmedabad is impossible for you, but it has happened, and just can't wait to join the institute and learn as much as possible in the next 2 years.
Just wanted to ask you. So, if you would not made it this year, would you give it the seventh time?
Uh, Sir, frankly, I don't think so. Because like with 5 years of experience, I think I'm already a little delayed as to when it comes to doing an MBA from India. But I don't really think when I started preparing this time, it was like this is your final take at the examination, because in all the last attempts or previous attempts, I had given myself this excuse, maybe next year. But this time I knew that I've been pushed against the wall, and like this is the dead end. If you get through it, good. Otherwise, maybe some different school, or without an MBA, we'll have to proceed. So that's all.
So, when you prepared, were you confident that you'd make it this year, or it was like, let me try?
I so basically, after having failed 5 times, right, to get into an ABC or even to get a call, when I started preparing, I thought that at least I would prepare as hard as which would give me an opportunity to get into that interview room, because I had read all these Cura experiences, and all these people tell you that it's an amazing experience. The faculties are brilliant. They ask you anything and everything under the sun, and it's a great place to be in that interview room, and that experience overall, which you certainly cherish for the rest of your life. And I wasn't getting that opportunity, so I promised myself that at least let me get to that interview room. Whatever happens after that, we'll see. But I just wanted to have that feel of that interview, and that's what I was working towards throughout the year.
Can you walk us through your journey of your preparation for the exam? So, how did you go about it? What did you do?
Uh, Starting 2014, because that was my first attempt, or just for this year?
So, whichever way, I mean, how would you plan? So, maybe you can start with the first year, just a brief, and say what did you do different? Maybe that could help.
Sure. So in the first year, of course, my target was to get the basics in place. And once I had that, I appeared for mocks, and it was a to and fro process. And I was doing well in mocks. So but in the final examination it just did not happen. And then after that, in all of these attempts, the focus was not there. Frankly, I did not put in a lot of hard work. In being a gem, you would require a 99.78 plus, and that requires one to put in effort. At least for me, I knew that it wouldn't happen overnight, that you just go to the examination and you get a 99.8, because I was relatively weaker in verbal, and that was the pain point. But this time, because I knew that verbal was weak, right? And I reached out to you, and you mentioned that read as much as possible. And of course, one good thing which had also happened is that one of my very dear friends, Swapnil, who is also a student of yours. So he had a similar profile as me. He had similar pain points, and he worked very very hard for CAT 2019, and he made it to IIM Bangalore. So that was one amazing thing which really got the belief in me that it's at least possible for people like us. If we put that effort in, we can get a good CAT score, we can get a call, and we can convert. So that's what I did. I read for VA as much as possible, basis your advice. And then for DILR, of course, I had the basics in place. It was about solving mocks, getting those clarified. For Quant as well, I think I tried, but I know I did not succeed. So your advice of solving them mentally, so that that gives you an edge. But due to paucity of time, I still remember the day when I called you and told you that, sir, I don't have time to prepare. What do I do? And you told me that I cannot give you a magic pill. You will have to go through the process. You will have to invest time, and that's the only way. So that's what I did, I guess, and I'm very fortunate that it all worked out in the end.
Uh, So, according to you, what makes a lot of difference, the mocks or practice sums? So, which is more important as per you?
It depends on where you are in your preparation process, right, or the stage. So if you are just starting new, just do the sums initially, so that when you sit for mocks, you don't get a very poor score, because that would take away a lot of confidence. So get yourself to some decent stage of preparation, so that when you appear for mocks, it does not come as a surprise to you. And then eventually it's a to and fro process. Once you have those in place, go for mocks, and because they give you a real CAT experience. And also test that if you are able to focus and concentrate for those 3 long hours, because now the attention spans have come down, so sitting and focusing for 3 hours is very difficult, I believe. So you write a mock, and then you analyze it properly. So this is also one very important thing, analyzing the mocks. A lot of students don't do this. You analyze it, and then you come back to the concept board and try and see where did you miss, and try and figure things out for you.
So, how did you keep yourself motivated? 6 years is a long time. So, and especially after 6 years, when you start preparing, it is again the same thing, same books, everything is similar. So, what kept you motivated throughout?
Initially, I was very lucky. Like, I have always tried to surround myself with people who are similar in aspiration as myself. So that gives you a lot of motivation. You get a benchmark that both of you sort of get benchmarks, that if he's getting this much score and maybe I missed out, what did I do wrong, and vice versa, right? So it's if you are into healthy competition, then that helps. So over the years, in my previous 2 serious attempts, I always had people around me to motivate me. This time, of course, I did not have anybody. So when I started, I was very very enthusiastic about this process, and that I will make it, I will do whatever it takes. But there comes a time when you sort of lose it, and it happened with me also around mid-August or so. I lost that motivation. Office pressure grew. So but I still remember the day when you texted me and asked me how are my preparations going, and that was a trigger that I was doing fairly okay in the mocks, and then I had lost steam, and then you messaged me and asked me, and I thought at that moment that maybe he thinks that I can do something, and I should not let him down. So I had let a lot of people down throughout this in these past 6 years. A lot of my friends, my family, myself, a lot of times, not just once but 5 times. And I just did not want to do that once again. So I started working hard. Apart from that, this time I tried to find my solace in songs. So I listened to a to a lot of songs to inspire me. Three major ones were Apna Time Aayega from Gully Boy. So that song starts with Kaun bola mujhse na ho payega. So that always gave me this rush that I will do it, and I tried to relate to every line of that song with my life and how I want to achieve and what I want to achieve. And apart from that, I listened to Lose Yourself from Eminem, so that also like gave me a lot of rush. And one of the other songs was Remember the Name from Fort Minor. So it is also like you put in the hard work and you give them a reason to remember your name. So this was my thought process this time.
Wow, great. Did you find any time being completely demotivated in seems nahi hoga karke or something on that aspect?
Yes, so there were a lot of times, frankly, when I first started preparing, I knew that I will make it. Like, I just knew that I will make it, but then it wasn't happening. And at one point of time, I had totally given it up. I was like, maybe an Indian MBA is not meant for me. I'll never be able to get it. But as I mentioned, right, when Swapnil got in, that gave me a lot of confidence that, I had seen him work really, really hard, and that eventually materialized in an IIM admit. So that gave me a lot of confidence that maybe I had not been working very hard over the years. I need to work hard, and there were a lot of times of despair. I had gotten admits to almost all the B schools except ABC, and I had not joined any of them. So I regretted those decisions also. That maybe just maybe if I could have, at least I would have an MBA degree, and then I would move on, in my life. In these past 6 years, my life has changed drastically because of some personal instances which have happened. But the one thing which has been constant is CAT, and I don't know, like I did not know when this was going to stop. Uh, there were times of despair, uh, but I'm happy that it all worked out in the end. Maybe it just requires that one push and the right mentors, and you make a plan, execute the plan, and it would happen.
What was your strategy on the exam day? So how did it pan out?
So basis my experience, I was, I went in the examination to get at least 180 raw score. So that was my thought process. The way I divided was 60, 60, 60 because that's easy. And maybe if DILR is too difficult, let us say, because that had been the pattern, then maybe 45, 50 there, and then would try and cover a 5 marks in verbal or quant or something like that. So, but 180 would be a sweet spot. So that was my goal. Eventually, I achieved it as well, got 187, and the target that I had started with of 60 60 60 was also achieved. So I got 61 in verbal, 66 in DILR, and 16 quant. Maybe I underperformed a little bit in quant, but overall I was happy with what I had done, because I had a plan and I was able to execute it. But one thing which I'd like to tell everybody who is listening to this is that don't stick to your plans. Like, it's good to have a plan, but maybe if the question paper would have been extremely difficult, this 180 should have come down to 150, and that depends on your analysis of the question paper right at that moment. So be flexible. If the question paper is easy, this 180 could go up to 200, 210. So just try and have that flexibility, and this would come when you appear for a lot of mocks. You will get to know that what the question paper level is and what a good score would be for this paper.
Okay. Any tips for students who are preparing for the examination?
One thing that I'd like to say is find great mentors, because that helped me a lot. So I was very fortunate that I reached out to you and started preparing under your guidance. So why I say this is because mentors give you a plan and they help you execute the plan. If let us say you want to prepare on your own, that's also a good strategy. But just try and ensure that you have a plan in place and execute that plan. Everybody has a plan. I always had a plan, but I never was able to execute it perfectly. So that's why I could not get an admit. This time, the only thing I did differently was execute the plan, which we discussed, right? So that helps. Apart from that, just don't try to collect as many resources as possible. Over the years, this is what I've done as well. You are part of hundreds of Facebook groups. There are drive links which are floating around, and there's tons of material out there. You will not be able to solve everything. It's a fact, and it's not even required as well. So just try and focus on completing one material, and focus on appearing for mocks and analyzing mocks, appearing for mocks and analyzing mocks. I cannot stress on the fact that how important it is to analyze mocks. So for example, if you're appearing for an exam for 3 hours, give at least 6 to 9 hours to analyze a mock, internalize the question. So whenever similar questions comes the next time, especially for DILR and Quant, you are not making the same mistake that you made, or the best practices to solve it. And apart from that, don't leave any topic or any section as a whole. So that is what I did in a lot of my attempts. I did not focus on VA at all. And when you do that, it is very, very difficult to get a very high score in CAT, especially for GEM candidates. This practice has worked for a couple of candidates, because I also read someone's response to how did they prepare, and their thought process was to get as high a score in this DILR and Quant, and then verbal maybe just around 95-96 percentile, and that would get me a good percentile. But this never worked for me. It's very difficult to execute on the examination day, because you don't know, right, which section is going to be easy or difficult. So have a balanced approach, and I think that would be the best bet.
Amazing, Abhishek. Thanks for giving us the time, and thanks for talking to students. I'm sure your advice will be helpful for people. Thanks. Thank you very much. Thanks for being
Thank you,
there.
sir. Thank you for having me.